Symphony Fantastique is, well, a fantastic symphony. Pun intended. But Movement 4 is really when it starts to get special. It's the grand finale of both the symphony and a man's life. Well, figuratively. Let's start with the composer. Hector Berlioz composed Symphony Fantastique in 1830. He did this to share a story that was close to his own personal one, to his own heart. The story is about a man who was going through romantic suffering because of the unreciprocated love to another woman. The symphony was actually intended for a woman he loved, but didn't know if she would reciprocate the love. This woman was actually Harriet Smithson, a Shakespearean actress who later actually became his wife. However, at the start of it, he was really happy because, as you would with someone accepting your love. However, as they later on in their life, they had troubles because as she was a Shakespearean actress and he was a music composer, he started to get more popular as the century went on, and eventually they had fights and eventually split due to Berlioz becoming so popular and her not having the same popularity. The jealousy was too much. Anyway, that's enough about Berlioz and his wife. Back to the movement. Movement 4, the story is a man has drugged himself, overdosing on opium, into a coma or deep sleep. This is after finding out that his love, that he has been trying to share his love to, does not reciprocate the same feelings. In this deep sleep that he has, he actually dreams that he is about to be put to the gallows to be executed. My assumption is the guillotine, since Berlioz was a French composer, and during this time there was a lot of guillotine executions, so that's my assumption, but we'll get back to the actual symphony. The first notes you'll hear in the movement are actually performed by the horns and eventually add the bassoons. With one moving up and one moving down, it kind of sounds like, in my opinion, a grandfather clock striking at the beginning of the hour. It's to symbolize time, and it's to symbolize the value of time that people have. However, because of the dream, it's this man's final hour, not necessarily the beginning of his. The first theme or melody that you actually hear in the movement doesn't appear until page 3 on my score, or about 40 seconds to a minute into this 5-minute movement. This is originally played on the cello and bass, but is played between all of the string sections eventually. It kind of sounds like this. I'm going to try and sing it. I know. Ba-da-dum, ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-ba-bum, bum. Ba-dum, ba-ba-bum, dum, dum. Kind of like that. There's a couple of notes that I messed up here and there, but that's fine. I'm not a professional singer. But this theme is what I believe to be the man waking up from his own dream. This is him waking up and realizing his current state and the confusion and fear that he would have, about to be executed. It's kind of like when you wake up, when you're in your own dream. If you ever dream, which most people do, you usually just believe everything's real. Unless you're a lucid dreamer, but most people aren't. You're going to be super confused and fearful, especially if you wake up to, violence, like the man in our symphony is. While Berlioz tells us that it's a dream, the man within here thinks that this is completely real, which explains his reaction and fear that anyone would have, which is why I believe the theme connects back to this confusion. Moving on, another theme that takes over after this original theme actually sounds a lot like the horn and bassoon beginning at the front of it, but in this point, this melody is mostly heard in the trumpets, but can be found between a lot of instruments within the band, and actually sounds similar to a fanfare. Now, a fanfare is a big, bright piece. It's something that screams hurrah. Some very similar explanation is it's a lot of marching band like things. It's what you would imagine a marching band to actually play. It's fanfare. It jumps at you. It keeps you within the music. The sound of the fanfare that is playing, it's to declare an execution was about to commence. It sounds kind of like this. Bum 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 ba-dum 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 bum bum bum. And I'll sing it again. Bum 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 ba-dum 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 bum bum bum. What you'll hear in the horns, the bum 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 bum, that is actually the beginning is pretty much it's a faster version of what the horns and bassoons play in the beginning. And it, in my opinion, it ties the whole story together. Another reason for the theme's brightness and the reason why it seems so bright, cheery, and joyful is because during Berlioz's life, public executions were still a normal thing and usually a celebratory thing, as it was a public event where everyone was having fun, except for the person being executed. Whenever I hear this, I imagine a crowd bursting with roaring cheers as they watch a man being brought to the gallows to be executed, as a public event like that is supposed to be entertainment. And remember, this is a different time than what we're used to. Personally, I wouldn't want to watch it. It's way too much blood for me. But those are some of the reasons that the final movement of Symphony Fantastique is so fantastic. It brings the story of this man to an end. Well, figuratively, as this is supposed to be a dream for him. But also the man's being executed. So I won't spoil too much more about the music. Thank you so much for coming to this concert, and I hope you enjoy the final movement of Symphony Fantastique.